Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Vorheragele, ni hao, Tunashume, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifa hal, Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Bhalli Kare aaye, Washmale. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTB World. You're watching World This Morning, alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing on a fine Wednesday morning over here in Islamabad?
I'm doing great, thank you so much for asking, and thank you for reminding it was a Wednesday. I sort of lost count ever since we walked into the week as well. So, how are you doing? One thing though, did you check out the traffic this morning? It was insane, man.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, as we all know over here in Islamabad, a lot of children are actually going back to their schools, but not
Oh,
really in
right.
Islamabad. I think amongst all of those other urban cities which are out there, I think everybody is making sure that their kids are going to go to school as well. So that's why, one, obviously it's rushy, so you'll actually have to leave 30 minutes before what you were doing usually in the
Let's
past four
try.
months as well. But for all of those kids who are actually going to school, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is our responsibility as parents to make sure that they are actually equipped with all of that equipment which is necessary to protect them from, God forbid, COVID-19.
Absolutely. Well, yes, I do agree with you. And are your daughters going back?
Well, not. She's not going back to school today, but she will be going back on Friday, I guess, because
Okay.
that's something which I got to know. But, ladies and gentlemen, whenever the kids are going to go, obviously there's this feeling that God forbid, Allah Mia, obviously, please protect our daughters and sons and whoever's actually going to school. And then there's this inner calling that, for a kid who's actually going to the one grade or second grade or third grade, I mean, is it that important to go back to school as of now? I mean, why can't we wait for a little longer?
A lot
Because
of
we are
parents
seeing
have that reservation
no,
actually.
it's not just a reservation. There's a reason why I'm saying that,
Okay.
because we have seen that in the past 2 or 3 universities opened up and they had to be sealed
Oh,
because of the fact that there
right.
were 30 or 40 COVID cases which they found out in one day. So putting children at stake, I think is not something which I'm in favor of. But yes, education is important. But for a kid who's in the first grade or second grade or third grade, I think that they can still wait. Why are we even rushing into getting back to school? Or is it rather the schools which want their kids to come back so that they can resume getting their fees paid as well?
But I think people were paying the fee anyway, right,
Yeah,
throughout the vacation as well.
yeah.
So, well, that's another story. But the point of talking about this is that everyone who's going back to school must remain safe. And also, since we do know that maybe, God forbid, a second wave might strike Pakistan, maybe it's on its way as well. So,
It is
everyone needs
here.
to be, it's here. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people I know are contracting the virus again, but everyone has to be safe over here. Everyone
Yeah.
has to follow the SOPs. And for everyone watching, if you do see someone not following the SOPs, go speak to them at least, educate them.
Yeah.
If not, well, I don't know if you can report them. After all, it's a free country. You can't really stop
Exactly, and
someone from.
and Shiza, not just that. I think what I'm more concerned about is that God forbid, if all of these people who are actually not following the SOPs, first of all, obviously these are those people who've gone through COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, just like me as well. So whenever I'm going somewhere, since we haven't had a case where people are like, okay, you can retract the virus, or probably you can have it again. Since we haven't seen any larger number of cases of such sort, so which is why I might not be following the SOPs. But yes, for somebody who's actually not been exposed to the virus even once, fortunately, alhamdulillah, I think what they need to do is that they really need to follow all the SOPs as well, because since you haven't gone through it, it's better that you don't go through it.
Yeah, absolutely true. Now, speaking of school, Shazad, do you ever wonder? Well, I do, and I'm pretty sure you do as well. So, when we talk about our holy book, Quran as well, it was revealed more than 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was in Arabic, and the Arabic of that time. And we know how many different dialects and how many different types of even Arabic, just one language, exist. So, if it wasn't for people who translated the book, first of all, learned it by heart, understood it, and then translated into other languages, I don't think we could actually still feel the true essence of it 1400 years after that. Well, same is the case with a lot of philosophy books. We do read about Plato or Aristotle and everything. We know about their philosophies, their theories. How? Because they're in English. Imagine you come across a book in Hebrew. Would you ever understand what they wanted to say?
Depends where I was born, and
Ah,
but yes, obviously it's a very valid point as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how the world has actually evolved. That's how cultures have come together. That's how countries have come together. That's how they've bridged their gaps as well. Even now today, when we are actually doing a show in English, probably 2 decades later, we might probably be doing shows in Chinese as well. And I think it's the need of the hour. But not just
Yes.
that, I think it is very important to highlight that on 30th of September 2020, ladies and gentlemen, it actually happens to be the International Translation Day.
Absolutely.
And it goes back in time. Ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time, it was actually observed in 1953 when it was St. Jerome's, who actually happens to be the first ever Bible translator, ladies and gentlemen. So the Translation Day was affiliated with him. Then back in 1990s, moving on from there onwards, there was a Federation for International Translators who actually kind of promoted this event and this day. And then eventually in 2017, there was a resolution passed by the United Nations, which made me wonder, why did United Nations, thought about it so late, coming down to 2017 and recognizing a day which was of immense importance. I think everybody should have realized by now, or by 2000, by in fact even 2000 or 1995 or 96, that how important translation was.
Absolutely.
And not just that, when we talk about our poets, when we talk about our literature, when we talk about all of these things, when we talk about the shelf lives of books, ladies and gentlemen, translation plays a very important role for our understanding and for your understanding as well. Which is why even when we have a guest over here who actually cannot speak in English, what we do is that we ask him or her questions in Urdu and then translate it for you. So that's how important it is to come across different cultures, to learn about them, and to learn about all the literature which is out there. And people have actually made sure that they're going to have a good grip on that.
Yes, absolutely. And Shahzad, I think you kind of explained it or put it forward in a very perfect way as well for everyone to understand. And I think where you spoke about UN sort of recognizing the day quite late, yes, it is late, but I feel like the organization itself really believes in the value, or I want to say, while it really works forward to promoting multilateralism, we cannot achieve multilateralism unless and until we really achieve multilingualism. Which means the UN is actually not trying to globalize everything in terms of promoting just one language and forcing everyone to just perform or practice that one language. It is actually promoting each and every single language one comes from. And this happens to be the largest organization for recruiting translators / linguists in the entire world.
I'm sorry that
which is a good thing. I mean, I know your
I'm sorry that I have a difference of opinion, but I have a difference of opinion because every press release you will have from UN is in English. So we are not actually kind of directing the conversation that that's what they have been trying, but we'll figure that out.
But
I think that's not the that's not the topic today. We'll probably do it some other day. But how important is this day? And for all of those ladies and gentlemen, with the social media and with the world evolving, we see that there's definitely a decline in the field of translators too as well. The Federation of International Translators was there so that they can support all of those translators who were out there, and because of the work they were doing, and pay rich tribute to them, because they have done quite a great deal towards us and towards the entire humanity. But we do have experts over here who are actually going to speak about it, how important this day is, and what is the way forward. How do we really need to evolve? What the translators need to evolve with the changing times is something which we'll be asking. So first up, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we have actually been joined by the director of DAAD Information Center Islamabad. She is the one and only Miss Ing Iqbal. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you, and the best part, ladies and gentlemen, is that she actually happens to speak Punjabi as well. Ki haal chal hai ਤੁਹਾਡਾ? ਠੀਕ ਹੋ?
ਮੇਰਾ ਹਾਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ।
ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤ, ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਏ, ਮਾਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ, ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ। ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ? ਜ਼ਬਰਦਸਤ, ਵਧੀਆ। But ladies and gentlemen, alongside Ms. Singh, we have actually been joined by the chairman of Department of Translation and Interpretation as well. He happens to be from Islamic International University. He is Dr. Inamul Haq Ghazi. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Hello. Wa alaikum assalam. Very good morning. How are you?
Absolutely perfect, sir. And thank you very
Fresh
much
as
for
ever.
joining us. Wonderful.
All right, so to begin the conversation with both of you being the experts over here, first of all, do you think it was, well, it was, but how important do you think it is to realize and then dedicate an entire day to linguists or translators specifically?
I think that the message of this day is very important, and that, as you said, we definitely should connect it to the term of multilingualism.
Right, right.
And as you said, now English is a very big language, and probably almost everybody knows English and goes through the education system of English.
Yes.
But it might be that within a few years, everybody has to learn Chinese or Arabic or
The new
another
world
language.
order.
Yeah.
We don't know what the new world order will bring, but definitely as a linguist, I can say that whatever language I learned did not only make me understand that language, the language system, the sound system, the syntax and whatever.
Yeah.
It did not only make me able to read the books and to learn about topics, it also made me understand cultural differences.
Of
And that's
course.
actually the most important thing and the most interesting thing, that it enables us to connect to other people all over the world.
Right, and to
Exactly.
learn about a particular population of people just to learning their language. It's very interesting. And I still have so many questions for you, but moving on to you, sir, what do you think about the importance of this day?
You see, the resolution passed by General Assembly, United Nations General Assembly in 2017. There are 4 key words, and I think they have used knowingly. One is, of course, to recognize the efforts of language professional
Right.
for connecting nations. Of course, this is very obvious. But the remaining 3 words, to foster peace,
Yes,
understanding and development. And the word development, I think, is a comprehensive word.
definitely.
Peace is a buzzword right now. You know, everyone, we are, you know, the whole humanity is just, you know, striving for peace and understanding and development, the issues that we are facing at global level. So if we just focus on these 4 words used in that resolution, we can
Yes.
understand that those who, you know, coined or devised this resolution, they were well aware of the importance of the translation.
Definitely.
But
so.
as you said, you also indicated to this why, you know, so in 2017, I think this can be, you see, the human nature. We usually tend towards the tangible things.
Yeah.
And when we finish tangible things, we come to, you know, to the self-actualization called by
Right.
Intangible
Maslow's.
things, yeah.
You know, we come to the intangible things. So perhaps the academia or the researchers, they read that at that level very late. And this what exactly is happening in Pakistan. I think so far, to my knowledge, there are only 3 departments in whole Pakistan, 3 universities, they are offering programs in translation and translation studies.
Oh.
So this also tells the same story which we are carrying. But there are people, translation is, I think, as old as the human life on
As
this
language
planet.
itself,
Yes, of course.
Sir, I definitely do not want to come across like this, but you know, just when Shiza actually posed a question towards you,
But he will-
you know, you said that they're actually, you know, the entire basic is actually coined onto 4 terms, where I'm only going to utilize 2, which is development and peace.
Yeah.
Now, for an organization to realize it in 2017, don't you think that they missed out on peace and the later as well, or the development as well? Don't you think that
I
they would
just
have
think
realized it way earlier as well? But I think it's not part of our conversation today.
No. Yes, of course. But I would like to say from a linguistic point of view, not from the political point of view. Of course, this is not my domain.
But linguistic does play a very important role in even in politics.
Everything is linked.
Yeah.
Everything is linked. But I would say, you know, according to one research conducted in Spain, one researcher suggested that 1893 was the year when Germany, and I would ask Inge to confirm this, and France, they had reached the level where they could have created what they called United States of Europe. You see the idea of European Union, which emerged very late, after almost 100 years or so.
Right.
So but it could not be
Go on.
materialized because of mistakes in translation.
Oh, wow.
Because
And
Imagine
a PhD thesis produced
Such
by one
irony.
Spanish scholar, and of course bringing a lot of evidences from the history, from language, translations, and providing this.
I think I'm in love
So I
with the
think
conversation
realization
we
was
have.
there.
Yeah.
Realization was there, but you know, at the top,
To materialize
at the
it, I
top,
got it.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions. Who are you going to blame Brexit for? Do you think it is because of that? But
I
okay,
think
leaving
we are,
that
we are
behind,
going out of
I
our...
think to simplify it for our viewers who are out there, because we go out in more than 40 countries, and what I want to ask you is, why do you think translators are important or play a very important role? Let's start from here. Let's simplify it for our viewers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, why are translators important and play a significant role?
Yeah.
I think this is very easy when you look at the lacks that translation machines still have.
Okay.
So what I noticed is that many channels, maybe also website providers, they think they can save the money for the translator, for the professional translator, and just let it translate with Google Translate or any other. I don't want to tell any
that's
brand
what actually
names,
is- right.
but no offense, but I checked some of your shows online on YouTube, and I actually found out that also the subtitles under this show are obviously translated by a machine because there are some mistakes
That's
which are
auto
simply
generated.
because the machine does not understand the phonetics and phonology
Exactly.
interface.
Exactly.
Yeah, things that happen.
Yeah.
So there was this girl in the show with Ms. Rosenberger, and she said, my parents were from Germany, and the machine said my prince was from Germany. That's totally different.
It is.
And I promise if you had a human translator, trained or not trained, he or
That's
she
wonderful. So that we'll be
would
able
not
to
have done
understand
that
it.
mistake.
Exactly,
Right.
that's
So-
true. And you know, adding on to that, I think, you know, I've got a real-time example. For example, whenever you're going to upload a status on Facebook, it's going to
Oh,
give
it's
you an
so
option of
funny.
translation. And every time I've actually written a couplet, it is translated in a very different way as well. So yes, that's true, that the work which people can do by themselves and in comprehending and what the message was, the machines cannot do that.
Now, but here's
Exactly.
the thing. Now, I want to force both of you to speak about it. And I do not mean it in any derogatory form, but just for my own, I want to say, I really want to understand this. We lack, I think we spoke about this before as well, we lack a lot of scientific research or, you know, general academic writings. We don't have that in Urdu. If I were to study about cell culture, I would find some research by brilliant Pakistani minds, but in English. So how are we actually, in our truest forms, preserving our language?
And sir, I'm going to add to that as well. I'm going to add to that as well, and that is that now we are so habitual of learning in English that, you know, one way or the other, our first language has become English, and it's because now we even think in English. You know, because earlier, ladies and gentlemen, when I actually joined this channel, I still know that, you know, I kind of struggled with English as well. I might still as well. But other than that, I had to learn. So, you know, every now and then I'll actually write to my brother in Oxford, and then he will tell me, okay, these were your mistakes. And that's how you learn as well. But what I'm going to tell you over here is that now, if God forbid, everything's going to come back in Urdu, इस कीमियाई मादे को इससे मिलाएंगे, तो I don't think that anybody or everybody will understand it as well.
But
So I think
Shehzad,
we need to have a multifaceted approach towards making sure that people understand their own language as well.
This is what I'm talking about. We don't have a multifaceted approach because we do have everything in English. So now we're talking about all the people living in the rural areas who are either studying in Urdu medium or let's say even Punjabi medium. What about them? They don't have the approach to the content that we do, is what we're saying. Please.
I think a lot of questions are raised by
And
you,
a lot of
and
insight from our
I
own.
have also, you know, a few questions in my mind. So give me some time to,
Please take your time.
you know, take care of. I will try to.
Go on.
I think before coming to your questions, I would like to talk about the importance of translation and importance of this day. Actually, translation is the language of languages.
Right, right.
This is my my perception. Because suppose, as you are using these Urdu words, maybe I don't understand, or I start speaking Arabic, this is my area, and you don't understand. So, which is the, you know, the bridge? The bridge is language, the translation, and translation is the language. Oh yes, translation is the language of the languages. And as for this big issue, I tell you, it has a lot of political, and you know, we have spent more than 100 years in colonial period,
I think
and
we have
this,
the
and before that,
tendencies
I
to-
don't want to go into the history. You know, by virtue of this area, we have to touch almost everything, and also the politics, the academic politics, if not the the other side of the politics, the
Right,
current
right.
issues. But I can only say, to my understanding, the reasons for this, they are cultural, they are historical, of course, and post-colonialism has played a very vital role in this. But as you said, if we try to learn at this age, we go back to Urdu and we try to understand the scientific terms and all that. I can tell you the history. History has proved that if there is a political will, if there is a decision, and all the institutions they are on it, they can change it within years.
Okay.
And it happened in Arabs in Abbasid
Right.
period is the golden era of translation, when they decided to transform, especially the Mamun Rashid, when they decided to transform the whole knowledge from the Syriac or the Greek or the knowledge of the existing civilization at that time into Arabic. They succeeded in 20 years. And remember, we are talking about almost 1,000 years, more than 1,000 years ago.
Exactly.
And now we are living in a technology where everything is available. Language tools. If I want to learn a language sitting at home, I can do it within months now.
Right,
So
right.
with this technology, with these techniques, it is just possible. Why it is not happening in Pakistan, I think it's a political question, but I can tell
If
you
it's
the
political, let's
efforts
not
of the
talk about it.
institutions. The previous Muqtadara Qaumi Zaban, now they call it Department for Promotion of Urdu Language. They have produced more than 50 dictionaries
Okay.
in different scientific terminology. They are available.
Nice.
The question is, do you want to take these books from the bookshelf to the schools, to the classroom, or to the people?
Standardize them
So,
for into
yeah,
the
yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah.
education.
This is the question. Language is not something which we make like this table. Language is our use. If we use more we use the language, more we get the results. It's
Right.
very simple formula. Although simple in words, but when we
I know,
implement,
easier said
little
than done.
complicated.
yeah, it is not.
Absolutely. But sir, you're right, yes. Again, talking about, how different languages, sort of understanding them makes you feel culturally involved as well. Now I'm going to talk about, well, I had a very, very bad experience at the Turkish airport because, of course, no one was cooperative, and I spent hours fighting and crying because I didn't understand their language and they did not try to understand my language.
Why
And
did you
then-
download a translator there and then?
Dude, I had no Wi-Fi, no SIM, no nothing. It was such a bad day. Let's not talk about
Every
it.
airport has
But
got
then-
Wi-Fi, Ishita,
Okay,
come
let's
on.
talk about it. So, but thanks to the subtitles, now we're all watching Artugrul. And, well, of course, it's now, I want to say dubbed in Urdu as well, but a lot of people who are on to the next seasons as well. This is because we know English, and now we can try to at least relate to their culture and whatnot. Moving on to you, Miss Ing. Let's talk about DAAD and the people who receive it. I hear that you're supposed to clear certain levels of learning the language, German itself, in order to qualify to receive the scholarship and then go study over there. First of all, is it so? If it is so, how is that promoting multilingualism?
It is actually not so.
Oh, okay.
So you can.
Why do I hear that all the time?
Maybe it was about other scholarships.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
DART is only one scholarship provider, and there are many,
it.
many more.
Got it.
And it might be that for one of the other scholarship providers, you have to learn German
Got it.
to a certain degree. It might also be that the student who said that did receive the DART scholarship, but went to a university which required the German language certificate.
Oh, maybe the courses were in German. Okay.
Yes, so it is also up to the German universities to set up their admission criteria, and it might be that one university requires German at the level A1 or A2 or B1 or whatever, and we still require the IELTS.
IELTS is always a
Yeah.
must. But one very interesting
I
question.
want to add on to what ma'am has just said as well, because I happen to have 2 or 3 of my friends who are automobile engineers, and they work in Germany. And they're like, if you do not know German in Germany, you're not welcomed over here.
You
know,
exactly.
So everybody needs to know. So this is how you're actually going to promote your own language. You go and you meet somebody internationally, it's different. But when you work for a different country, for their own industry, obviously you need to know the language.
Most definitely, yes, I agree with you. Now, Miss Ing, you happened, of course, you know German by birth because it's your native language, and then you learned English, then you know Punjabi, some dialects of it, and then you know Hindi, Urdu, so many languages. Which one is the most interesting for you to learn, first of all? And let's talk about how you discovered Punjabi and its historical patterns.
Yeah, first of all languages are interesting.
Of course.
For me, how did I get to learn Punjabi? It was actually that I wanted to look at a certain development, a historical development that happened in the Indo-Aryan languages, and it happened to take place in Punjabi as well. And so, in order to be able to write about that language, I thought I would also have to learn that language, at least reading that language to a certain degree. And so I started to learn it from books. In Germany, it was not possible to study Punjabi at the university. I think there's not one only university who provides that. And yes, with Hindi, it was that first I learned Sanskrit. I'm a historical linguist, so I started out with all the dead languages, the so-called dead languages, and so I started with Sanskrit, and then later learning Hindi was pretty simple because the alphabet is a simplified version of the Sanskrit, and Urdu was later, it was just another alphabet.
I think you might even be closer to Persian as well then.
Yes, I also learned Farsi.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Which is great. But very quickly,
Very
since we are
nice.
actually running out of time and we have to move on to the other segments, sir, one last thing. First of all, obviously, I want a message from you for all of those people who are out there working in this direction, making sure that they're going to bridge this gap. And what is the future of all of those people who are actually picking up on translation as a piece of work, as their profession? Do you think that they have a bright future?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because things are changing very fast. I think we have also indicated toward the role of machine translation. The machine developments that are taking place in the area of machine translation, they are becoming, apparently they are becoming threats for the human translators.
Exactly.
But as she also mentioned one good example, there are a lot of other examples as well. I, as an academician, I always say that yes, machine translation is becoming threat, but no, if we transform our curriculum, if we change our thinking, these all human beings can be shifted to the development of machine translation, and they can become the supporters of machine translation, because machine translation is not all negative.
Exactly.
It's a question of the glass half full and half empty. I think the machine translation provides a lot of, as he advised you, why didn't you use some software there at the Turkish airport or Istanbul airport? So I think this is a facility, but with caution, that you use it, and you also should be aware that there might be some problems.
Of course.
So the future, of course, is very bright, especially in two areas, because machine cannot think very smartly. In literary translation, it's impossible.
Absolutely.
What is called culturally bound expression, you cannot translate. For example, the word Punjabi masi, the word masi, ma-si, the relationship. If we translate it into English, we find aunt. So I think the cultural richness of the word masi,
or khala,
or the khala, or puppo, or especially the puppo, it has other connotation in our culture as well. So how to translate or transfer all these connotations? So literary translation is a huge, big area where I don't think machine translation can be. And also the religious translation is another area. You also talked about the Quran translation. Why Quran is being translated time and again because of lot for other needs as well. If we find some other time, we can talk about
exactly, and that was a wonderful message as well. But Ms. Singh, I've got a very different question for you, because very often this happens to me that if I am actually surrounded by my Pashtun friends, so they will actually start to speak in Pashto and I won't actually understand a word. So actually I had to learn Pashto. Did you ever come across a situation where in Pakistan where people thought of you as a foreigner and kind of spoke in their native language, and then you were like, hey, you know what, I could actually understand every word you've said?
No,
That's
actually
good.
this has never happened to me, and unfortunately, since I do speak Urdu, maybe not perfectly well, but I can communicate. But in Islamabad, it is actually the case that if I address someone in Urdu, that person will speak to me in English. So obviously they're
making it even more convenient for you.
well, they think they do. Maybe I would be happy to
Yeah.
learn Urdu
be
and
able
speak
to
Urdu.
speak Urdu.
But
Okay.
But what I realized is that if I go to Karachi and over there I address people in Urdu, they are very happy to speak with me in Urdu.
yeah.
No, Islamabad is a
And-
totally different breed, and that's out of question.
So maybe it's because Islamabad is the capital and
Probably.
everybody wants to speak English. I think similar cases also happen in Germany. Some foreigners in Germany told me they have put so much effort into learning German, and now when they address someone in German, they would address
Talk back in
them back in English, and
Oh.
they are so unhappy about that. But probably the German person thinks that they make it more convenient
Exactly.
for them.
Right.
So
Well,
it
wonderful
makes
that was.
sense.
But thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation on such an amazing topic as well, where, ladies and gentlemen, it actually happens to be International Translation Day. We were observing it, and I think that this is an area which we really need to tap into. We need more and more smarter people to come into it so that they can actually comprehend the real context of that literature, whichever a person is reading.
Right, and speaking of different languages, Shahzad, why don't you take a break in Punjabi?
ਔਰ ਖਵਾਤੀਨ ਹਜ਼ਰਾਤ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਿੱਕੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਦੀ ਤਰਫ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਫਨਕਾਰ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਨਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ ਡੋਂਟ ਗੋ ਐਨੀਵੇਅਰ ਵੀਲ ਬੀ ਰਾਈਟ ਬੈਕ ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ
Stay tuned.
चलते रहे हम उम्मीद पे डरना नहीं इस खेल से बढ़ना है हमने जीत से सपने जी लें अपने दिल से कभी जीतना कभी हारना कभी डूबना कभी तैरना फिर भी तू हिम्मत ना हार आगे अपनी जीत है जागे ये उम्मीद है जीवन का ये गीत है तारे चमक रहे हैं आगे अपनी जीत है जागे ये उम्मीद है जीवन का ये गीत है सबके दिल में है पाकिस्तान
Wow, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, today over here
Junaid
in the
Iqbal for
studios,
you.
we have with us Mr. Junaid Iqbal, who happens to be a musician, a singer himself. Hello, assalamu alaikum, and a very warm welcome.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much
This
for
was
joining
a
us.
brilliant performance, and
Thank you.
especially to come back, and open the segment. This was amazing. Let us know about the song itself. Did you write it? How this is sort of, I want to say, patriotic. Where did it come from?
Well, I was friends with the son of Salman Ahmed from Junoon Band, Sherjan and Imran, and we were jamming, and we met in 2018 right after the elections. So we were jamming, and we just realized that we had a chemistry. So after that, we sort of formed a band called Jeem.
Nice.
And they are right now in New York. Sherjan is actually watching me live on,
Oh.
Oh, that's
on the
wonderful.
internet.
And Sherjan, so you guys did a great job because this is a song which was actually produced by Jeem the band.
Yeah, and Sherjan wrote the song,
Oh.
and he came up with the melody while he was in Lahore. So we thought, we should do this, and
And
it
I
was a
think you
good
did
song.
justice to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
and it's
brilliant.
wonderful. But for you, I'm going to actually make you think about going back in time when you weren't actually a member of the Jeem the band as well.
Yeah.
So I want you to actually let everybody know, when did you actually started to sing? When did you actually started to play guitar? Who inspired you? All of these things, because this is for the very first time that you're on national television. And we over here, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that we promote talented people, and that we have been doing it for the last 7 years.
It
So please
goes
go ahead.
back a long time back. I think when I was in school at a very early age, I used to do the Qaumi Tarana national
Yeah,
anthem
yeah,
in the
yeah.
assembly.
In the assembly.
And then from there, obviously, in the 14th August, Allama Iqbal Day, I was in Oman. I was born and brought up there. So wahan pe we used to sing patriotic songs on national days. And then from there, once I heard Junoon's album Inqilab, so it just blew my mind away. And that's where my passion for music started. And I started learning a bit of guitar from there, and mostly was singing. I just really loved Ali Azmat's vocals and all that stuff, and Salman's compositions. Yeah, so from there my journey started. And it's been a long journey, sort of, then life happened, stopped playing music much. And then, when I came back to Pakistan recently, around up to it's like 3-4 years. So, I had some compositions written, so I thought, I'll just record them. And of course, with Sherjan and Imran, I formed a band as well. So, yeah.
And now is the time. So, since you've taken inspiration from Mr. Ali Azmat Bhatt Sahab, so if you're out there, you've definitely produced a lot of musicians over in Pakistan and all over the world, and you've been an inspiration, not even to just musicians, I think people like me as well. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So are we going to listen to something from Junoon as well?
Yeah, sure. I could play Tara Jala or Nare Na from...
I think we'll go with Pick a Finger.
This one.
Nare Na.
All right. रंगों में तू दिल से बुला सांसों में तू दिल से ना चाह आने दे मुझे जीने दे मुझे नैनों के पार नारे ना नारे ना मोहे गीत सुना नारे ना नारे ना मोहे मीत ना माने खामोशी की लहरें हवा में न ठहरे गीतों की लय को बढ़ा तन्हाए मन है कोई खालीपन है कैसे हो पूरी ये ख्याला रंगों में तुम हो ख्यालों में तुम हो न जाने तू है कहाँ जब दिल जले
love with your vocals, man. This was amazing. But Junaid, I want to talk about something. Let's talk about Pakistani audience. Now, you said you came back and picked up music after a hiatus of a few years.
Yeah.
How do you think Pakistani people receive Pakistani artists and whatever they produce?
I think it's a bit hard to come into the industry at first, but you know, once you have a hit or you're recognized by people, I think the audience really love you a lot for your work. And
Is there a certain or a specific genre that a major audience goes after?
well, the music scene has changed a lot. I think when I was growing up, obviously in the 90s, Junoon, Vital Signs,
Right.
Awaz, Karwan, all these rock bands were there.
Of course.
Now, if you look at it, there are not many rock bands. You know, they're more kind of a soft pop or soft rock bands, and also a lot of covers are coming in. You know, from the previous artists. You know, so not much of original music is being produced, and at the same time, it's more like, you know, a bit you know, westernized music. You know,
Yeah.
it's like.
I think it's serving the larger audience and not specifically.
Yeah,
catering
but
to
the music
Pakistani.
has changed a lot. I don't think, you know, the music we were listening in the 90s, you know, the young generation listens to it a lot. You know, they have a different taste of music, so it's
Well, I
just.
still have that on my playlist, so I don't think. But yes, you're right. If once you've heard it, you're never, of course, going to
Yeah.
like other things
I think
as well.
I've got a disagreement over here. It's
Really?
because of the fact that we have, for example, Noori came out with the song recently as well. We have Strings. Strings just
But
came
they're
out with,
both
with their
90s, no?
latest release as well, and latest albums and releases. And you know, whenever they're performing, you know, they have massive crowds to themselves as well. So it's probably about hitting the right notes. Whichever genre it may probably be, people need to like it. People need to listen to it with their, you know, I think having a heart to actually listen to all of that as well. Because when you see these people performing on stage, I've seen them, I work with them very closely as well. And I know, man, that they're going in the right direction. But yes, you're right. When we talk about Asim Azhar, when we talk about this new guy, I've forgotten the name as well. He's from Islamabad and he's been on our show as well. Well, okay, whenever I'm going to remember the name, I'm obviously going to let you know as well. Then we have Habib Malik, then we have Umair Jaswal, then we have Uzair Jaswal.
Right.
I think that these are the people who've definitely changed the dynamics of the industry. But yes, with modern music, I think what these people need to do is to actually have a combination of their vocals and then have a synchronized you know, beat, or probably with something which is very western and local as well.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that? Because we've seen a lot of fusions happening recently as well in the name of Coke Studio.
Well,
And a lot of people are rooting for Asim Azhar and BTS. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but go on.
Well, I think, as I said, the music has changed a lot, and the new younger generation really likes the new musicians that we have produced in Pakistan recently. But you know, I'm still stuck on the 90s, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, I would still, you know, listen to
Like
Junoon,
play me some
Vital
Amir
Signs.
Zaki.
Yeah, Amir Zaki,
Absolutely.
Junoon, Vital Signs, or even Karwan, you know, those rock bands, you know, where the
Conceivable,
real
yeah.
music started. I would listen to them, you know, over these artists any day.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I must say that these artists have produced really good music, and
Yes,
they've,
indeed.
you know, kept the music alive, music industry alive, because obviously there was a gap. A lot of bands were not performing.
Yeah.
So there was a gap. They've filled it pretty nicely.
Right.
And they've done a wonderful job, and you
Yeah.
said it very rightly.
So, Junaid, before we actually do wrap up the show, one last question. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as a musician?
Well, hopefully, you know, I'll still be performing, you know,
Inshallah.
and some good new songs coming out. Yeah, so I'm actually working on one of the new songs.
Okay. Are you going to do
video.
solos or just stick to the band?
Well, I think we're going to do both, because
Okay,
you know,
okay.
it's not like we can choose. You know, if I have a composition that I want to do it with the band or just separately as well,
yourself.
you know,
It's your
the
choice.
music has to be there. You know,
Right.
it has to
right.
come out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So you actually think about the song. You're actually going to wrap up the show for us.
Yeah,
because
I
you're
have
going to do it
a
with the
new song coming up. I'm making a video, inshallah, next month, which
Right,
is
we'll
already
just
started.
announce quickly the links to our social media pages, and then you can take the stage.
Sure.
And you have been really loud in my ear today. Very loud.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, like every other day, we really hope you learned something and you actually enjoy the performances over here as well. Well, I hope you have an amazing day ahead. Do remember our entire team in your prayers. Write to us on our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube with the name of.
Well, this morning,
And the repeat of this particular show you can catch
5
at
past midnight, ladies and gentlemen, it's our collective responsibility to make sure that we promote talent, because we have a lot of talented people. who are self-taught in the first place, and they made sure that whenever life did happen to them, they are going to come out stronger. And Junaid is an example of that, and we will be out there always promoting and voting for you too as well, vouching for you. So whenever in the next 5 years, wherever you see yourself, you're always more than welcome to be back over here on PTV World and World This Morning. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Junaid, take it away.
ये मौसम सुहाना है, आओ जरा हमें भी गले से लगा लो जरा। ये मौसम कहे समा थम जाए और चलता रहे ये उल्फत का जहां। ये मौसम सुहाना है, आओ जरा।
Wonderful. Look after yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Wish you best of luck. for
Thank
your
you so
latest
much.
release. When are we expecting that, by the way?
Well, we'll be shooting inshallah in October. So
Oh,
once the
inshallah.
video is done, so
Wonderful that is. So, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. Bye bye. Good morning.
Take care.